Hi guys, gals, non-binary pals, and all my friends and folks out there. Welcome back to another Hope Loves Talks. So recently, we've been talking about characters and really how to build a great character, because great characters are not only the backbone, but really the upholding of the whole entire story. One of the most important key details in the world building. And you have to look at the characters as a whole before you even get started with the story. And I know it takes time, but it's worth it. Last time when we were talking about characters, we talked about characters' purpose and how you have to think, okay, well, what is this character supposed to do? When are they supposed to come in? What are they supposed to act like? And if this character's purpose is this, what are they in relation to other characters? Now, because we talked on that, I want to touch bases on character relationships. Why? Because, well, relationships are important. And you have to understand how characters interact with each other. It's very important to the story, and it's very important to the story's flow. So, imagine there are these two characters, right? Who are they? Well, maybe their relationship are two friends, and they're very competitive with each other. They may be athletic, or they may have book smarts, or they may have street smarts and book smarts, or they may be, your average kid who probably does have an A in school and also is in athletics. Now, if they're, real brainiacs over here, when they're competing against each other, what are they going to be doing? Well, obviously, they're probably going to be doing things like, 1, maybe competitively, going through math problems together, even though they may not have to study. 2, they could go and play chess together and kind of see who's going to win every single time. And, is this nature a little subtly competitive, or is it overly competitive? You have to think about how they're going to be acting in these scenes. And the difference between solving equations or being in a debate club or, I don't know, maybe being in Model UN is based off of characteristics. And who are they as a person? You have to think about all of these things when you're building relationships between characters. Character relationships is always this thing. Think of it as a game where you're looking for the right formula to create the right outcome. And when this character is like this character acts accordingly. It's like how you do when you're with those friends who are from school and maybe are more into, I don't know, books, video games, anything, and sports. Or maybe you're with some of your other friends and they're more into theater and plays. Think about what you would talk with them about. You would talk about things that are relevant to them. You talk about a new book coming out, maybe an author signing, maybe some big crisis, maybe not. But depending on who the person is, their interests, and their characteristics, you know what to talk to them about. Like, if there's this person who says, say they like fandoming and books and novels and all these other amazing things like video games, and they also like to talk about, the industry itself. When you have all this news about, hey, did you hear about this big book scandal? You probably would bring it up to them. Instead of the casual fan or maybe the nerd who really likes the content but doesn't care much for, how do I put this, the crazy, industry behind it. You kind of have to understand if some people could be passive or lenient about different things. You have to know this person to know how to speak to them. And if your character doesn't know this person, then they have to go to the basics, like, hi, how are you? How old are you? What do you like? What are you into? All those things that build relationships and deepen relationships. You have to think about what things are appropriate for this person to be saying to this other person. Because this is a legitimate conversation. What's appropriate to put in this article? What's appropriate to put in this song? Because it's this theme, it's this matter. What's appropriate to write in this essay? Don't drift off topic. And if your audience doesn't know something yet that the character may know or doesn't know either, you have to play off of that. You have to understand that there are multiple points of view here and that every reader has its own POV within the POV of the characters. So the way that the characters play off of each other and the way that they play off of their audience is a big way to get, one, the readers a lot more interested and involved with the story. And two, maybe to say or not to say the things that they expect them to, but sometimes maybe just imply them. Because I know personally, as a reader, that could drive you wild. That can make you be like, whoa, okay. And you're suddenly a lot more interested when the drama is high or the stakes are risen to a high place and characters are arguing with each other. Maybe they take a pretty, low dig and they blow, somebody out of the water with this one simple statement. How is your character going to react to that? How is the audience going to react to that? Whose POV is this in? And also, what is the characters and the audience supposed to see? Point blank, what is the relationship in this thing that they just said that deeply offended or hurt or terrorized the other character, their friend, their schoolmate, their classmate, their acquaintance, their teacher? How did that affect them? What did they just do? What are the lines? Do they have a close relationship to each other? And did this person just somehow publicly humiliate them by saying one word? And the whole entire, audience and all the other characters who may be watching or may not be watching, if they heard that, they know instantly what happened. Did they say something that affected them so deeply, but the other characters can't notice it? Are they doing something that's just downright dirty, nobody can see it? Or is this apparent to everybody? How are they acting with each other? What are they to each other? If they see each other as more than close friends and who are really just sister and brothers, then how far does this betrayal hit? It hits at home. Those are the things you have to think about. Those are the things that we have to think about when not only we're talking to people in conversations in our everyday lives, but also when we're writing stories, when we're making stories, when we are making informative pieces even. Because what goes next? How are they connected? How do you smoothly enter into the next piece? What are you trying to do here? What are you doing here? What purpose is the character serving? If the character is serving this purpose, or supposed to be serving this purpose, like maybe being the best friend of this person and, allowing this person, maybe the main character, to confide in this other person when they can't confide in anybody else. If that's their purpose, their relationship to the other character. So when they get into fights against other people, or when they get to fights in between each other, they act accordingly. When the relationships between other characters are strained and far stretched out, when you know the lines, when you know the boundaries, and when you know the limits, that's how you create a good story. You can show the friction, you can show the tension, and you can definitely show how characters might love, dislike, like, or enjoy the company of the other person in that scene with them. But it all comes down to coming in at the right time, knowing what your character is like, knowing why you brought this character in, and knowing their relationship to that specific character, and their relationship to what's going around them. But that last one is for another time. The most important thing for all of you to know is that characters' relationships are the backbone of every scene, along with the drama or piece that's coming with it. You have to know what every scene is going to be and what every act is going to be. Not necessarily before you write it, but when you go to write it, when you are writing it, know what you're doing. Don't just always write things for more time's sake. Have a reason, have a purpose. And if you don't have one, but you need more time in between these events, find something, find a purpose. Find a mission, find a value that needs to be served. Find something that you need in your story that you haven't brought into it yet, and this would be the perfect time to do it. When you have these open moments that you need to fill, but they can't just be useless, learn how to fill them with really good scenes. And if you know two characters' relationships, you can work off of that. If you want to show more into character relationships, you can work off of that. There's always got to be a purpose for everyone and everything. So figure it out, even if you have to figure it out while you go. Nobody always has all of the answers. But what they do have is all the wisdom to know how and how not to carry through and throw. So my best advice to all of you and all of us really is just to go for it, to not be afraid, and to keep in mind all of these things, even if not consciously, just subconsciously. You gotta know characters' relationships. Otherwise than that, I love y'all, peace, and keep those things in mind. The best scenes can be the most subtle, yet say the most dramatic things. I'll see you next time.